E aqui nos encontramos em mais um episódio de Portuguese Voices, em que iremos estar aqui na Califórnia, iremos entrevistar uma pessoa da comunidade portuguesa da costa este, em Fall River, Massachusetts, e iremos ouvir as histórias do Padre Manuel Sousa. Espero que gostem. Portanto, se gostarem, carreguem no botão like ou subscribe para poderem saber de mais episódios e poderem ver mais episódios. Here we are coming together in this new episode of Portuguese Voices, and we hear some stories of Father Manuel Sousa, and also we'll be going to the East Coast to the Portuguese community there in Fall River and listen to the stories there. And let's enjoy it. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe or press like. And see you next time.
Logo depois do 25 de Abril, houve em São Miguel, no Largo de São Francisco, em Ponta Delgada, um grande comício em que muita gente falou e deitou faladura, e em que se falou muito dos partidos políticos, que era uma novidade naquele tempo. E um rapaz vai para cima de uma árvore e grita lá de cima: "Eu já tenho um partido!" E o pai dele, junto da árvore cá embaixo, dizia o rapaz lá para cima: "Oh rapaz, anda cá para baixo, não é parte do outro."
Quando estive na primeira vez em Fall River, na zona de Providence, na zona de Massachusetts, na zona de New Bedford, onde há muitos portugueses, tive a possibilidade de visitar este supermercado português chamado Portuguese Marketplace, ou tenho a impressão que é Portuguese Marketplace, e descobrir algo que fiquei fascinado, que é tantos artigos portugueses que lá se encontravam, tanta comida portuguesa que lá se encontrava, que de alguma forma nos faz conectar com as nossas raízes, com aquilo que somos, com a nossa própria cultura. Nós somos o que a nossa cultura também nos faz relembrar e nos faz recordar. E aquelas comidas todas é as conexões profundas através da comida que comemos no dia-a-dia, com a nossa própria cultura, com as pessoas com quem convivemos no dia-a-dia, com as pessoas e com a história que deixamos em Portugal. Portanto, tive a possibilidade de contactar quer com os donos, o Sr. Fernando Benevides, e também com o seu filho. Já apareceu neste programa a entrevista que tive a oportunidade de fazer com o pai, e agora com o filho Michael Benevides, que vai ser apresentada hoje. E, portanto, não é fazer somente uma promoção de um supermercado, mas mais do que isso, é falar-nos de que, através da comida, através de uma boa apresentação, nós sentimos profundamente ligados com a nossa própria cultura. Portanto, algo que me motivou e me espantou e me interpelou, e que existe de uma forma muito natural naquela zona na costa este dos Estados Unidos. When some years ago I had the opportunity to go to Fall River in the Providence area, close to New Bedford, and contacting a large number of Portuguese community, discovering a large number of Portuguese restaurants, I also discovered that exists a Portuguese market there. And it's not a simple market, it's a very large supermarket with a very large selection of Portuguese food, Portuguese cheeses, wines, and so much variety of options that we can everything find there, including the dry cod fish. And all of that, it was there for the Portuguese community, which is a very large community in that particular area. And it reminded me that we are who we are, not just because of our DNA, but is our culture and is our traditions, that one of the important elements also goes and is expressed to the food that we eat, and all those Portuguese items of food that there exists remind us, each one of them, of where we came from. And so I believe for any Portuguese person that goes there, so many memories comes forward when we visit that particular place, and all the foods that we have access to there remind us where we came from. So let's listen to and see the market and listen to Michael Benevides, the owner, the person that had the inspiration to place this market on the same textile mill that existed there and been converted into a supermarket, and a textile mill where the Portuguese used to work there in the beginning of the 20th century.
So we're here in the Portugalia Marketplace in Fall River, Massachusetts. It's a market that's 4 years old. And the business itself has existed for 28 years. So the concept was dreamt of when I was in college. I would travel a little bit and witness how other ethnicities were marketing their food, such as the Italians and the French and the Spaniards. And I felt that there was an opportunity to market Portuguese food to a different segment of the market, a different consumer, all the while continuing to supply the Portuguese population, but attempting to attract new consumers to Portuguese food. The community has really embraced the market. They've feel a certain pride in the market that we have here. We've sort of highlighted the themes of Portugal, and they've connected with this market tremendously. Well, it's my family's heritage. My father started the business in 1988 in a three-car garage. I witnessed his struggle. I tagged along with him all the years since he opened the business, and I felt a certain obligation to bring a contemporary Portugal to the community. So it was sort of in my DNA, you know, the love for business, the love for food, and having to transmit that to the community. I think the market is important to the community because I think it has instilled a sense of pride where many markets were failing, were closing. We came in at a time where I think was the right time to showcase Portuguese goods and products to re-emphasize. It's not the we came in at the time where I think the community needed us needed a concept such as ours to validate the community, to showcase what we're known for. So my father is an immigrant, as am I. We came over in '79, and he worked in various jobs. He worked as a boat carpenter for his first job in the States, and then shortly after worked in a factory, and then decided to go on his own. At the time, he purchased a tenement home here in the city, like you see, and decided that he was going to convert the three-car garage in the home into an Portuguese food import business. So there was a window there where he was working two jobs. He was working in the factory, continuing to build his business. The business became more than he could handle, so he decided to do it full-time in this business. We then later on transitioned into a bigger factory warehouse where we continue to run our wholesale operation. Again, the business thrived at that location, did very well, and that's when we saw the opportunity to take on this business. This property became available. We worked hard at attaining this property. We did an extensive rehab of this property. As you can see, it took us a couple of years to renovate the space. This is an old textile mill, like so many in the city, like so many, one of the mills that Portuguese people worked in, and we felt that this space connected with the concept that we were attempting to create. So as a child, if I wanted to spend any time with my father, I'd have to work in the business. So since age 11, I was willing. I'd jump in and out of trucks, unload trucks, tag along with him to various other Portuguese markets like New Jersey, and try to do business with other suppliers in those markets, and all the while just kicking tires as a young kid while my father was having conversation, establishing relationships. I was at the time just being a kid, but I think that a lot of those conversations he was having with suppliers later on, I think, sort of set in. My father's way of being, the way he treats his customers, the warmth that he has with his customers. I think a lot of that I learned from him. I had the opportunity to go to university. I attended Johnson & Wales University, all the while knowing that at some point I would come back to work for the business. And while I was in college, I was working at the business as well. So I would take classes, come back to work after class, and go out delivering to various establishments in the wholesale business. Again, meeting the customers, forming relationships, establishing relationships with a lot of the Portuguese community, and knowing that at some point I would have a more administrative role in the company. So that continued for years, like I said, and then we decided at some point that the old business, the wholesale business that we had created, which was at that point a wholesale retail operation, we had outgrown our current space, and I needed to personally create a new space, a newer Portugalia, a new direction for the company, knowing that we needed to have a broader concept to attract new consumers to Portuguese goods, and that's what we have attained here at this market. We're a market that's not exclusively for Portuguese people. We're open to all, and as a result of this approach, I think we've acquired a lot of market. We've turned on a lot of non-Portuguese people to Portuguese goods. Well, we had it wasn't overnight. My father had built a retail establishment at the wholesale facility, and he built a really strong core business with the ethnic market. He had Portuguese customers coming in from surrounding states, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, and he always treated them really well, and they would return, and so he had built a really strong base, really so much so that we felt that this concept would work as a result of the current base we had, plus having to supplement with other people coming into the market as well to substantiate this investment. But it wasn't overnight. It wasn't something that just happened one day to the next. I had a good teacher in my father. He had created a really solid, strong base. We just needed a better visual, a better marketing approach to get our goods known beyond the ethnic market. So we have various stories. We have many people who come into the market who are in awe that in Fall River exists a market of this magnitude with this much Portuguese product on display. Oftentimes we even see suppliers from Portugal who visit us, and they come into the market, and they're blown away by how much Portuguese product is displayed on our shelves. I think it's something like 75–80% of the goods sold in this market are Portuguese. So you won't find any other market that has this concentration of Portuguese goods. Another story is the gentleman who came in here one time telling me that this market so inspired him that he had booked a trip to Portugal after visiting this market. He was so moved and inspired by this concept, and he said, a gentleman who lived in Fall River, who had ties with friends, connections, but had never decided, and at this point he was going to go to Portugal and visit the country that brings in all this food. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we had a pretty good core business, so we felt that this would be possible, acquiring a mill of this size and converting it into a market. We initially spoke to for Economic Development. We pitched the project to them. We told them that we were going to do this, and they immediately signed on as a supporter and granted us a TIF, a state-issued TIF, which was a tax incentive. So we've had outstanding and tremendous support from the community at large. From the people who live in the community, the Portuguese immigrants who now live in the community, who are settled in the community, a tremendous political support as well. The mill we acquired, like I mentioned, I'm probably going backwards, but we acquired the mill. When we acquired the mill, we did a walkthrough, and my father and I, we turned to each other at the time and said, "This is it. You know, this is the place." So it had all sort of everything we wanted our market to have. It had character. It had personality. The space. We could envision this being a market. As you see here, these arches were once windows, which we carved out to create the aisles. This is a whole 100-year-old structure, and we wanted to retain as much of the existing structure as possible, all the while modernizing it as well. So it was, again, the community signed up. They were on board with us. The local political officials were as well, and they were very happy to see us build a Portuguese market in a long-standing Portuguese community. Correct. So my father, being a devout Catholic, always very gracious and thankful to God, felt that he had been given so much. He never envisioned his business would be this business that he has today, and he felt that he should have pay his respects by building a small chapel in the office suite of our building. So this happened with us contacting a friend who was very handy and a bit of an artist, and we pitched the project to him, and he immediately signed up, and he said, let me do this. So as you'll see, we built a small chapel where he spends a lot of time in. Customers even know of it and have gone and visited the chapel oftentimes. So it's at this point a community chapel. It's not our own personal chapel. You know, employees use it, customers use it, and we certainly use it as well.
Is American or American Portuguese in the United States?
Well, I've always been very proud to be Portuguese. At a time when we immigrated to the country, you felt the need to assimilate early on, but I've always been in tune with my culture. My parents always did a good job of instilling pride in who I was, and Portuguese food and culture. It was always present. So, and then I've seen friends move on beyond their culture. You know, they marry outside the culture and sort of abandon the culture to a degree. You don't abandon it entirely, but what I like to say is that I think we should be very proud to be Portuguese, and now more than ever, you know, Portugal is like we were talking about earlier, trending. It's a country that's struggled tremendously, but it's finding its way, and it's a very hip culture. It's got a lot of great art and architecture and food, and I can highly speak to the food. It's ever changing. I visit Portugal numerous times a year, and every time I visit, I discover something new. I discover a new product, a new line, a new restaurant, a new museum. So it's a beautiful country, tremendous people, tremendous culture, and I highly recommend people embrace their culture or reconnect with their culture.
Espero que tenham gostado de mais deste episódio da Portuguese Voices, ou Vozes Portuguesas, que nos falem das nossas tradições, da nossa cultura, de quem somos, não só no passado português, mas no presente dos Estados Unidos e do Canadá e deste mundo onde estamos a viver agora. E se gostaram, continuem a ver este programa e carreguem no botão like. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and all speaks about not just our past and our roots and our tradition when we say that is Portuguese Voices, but it's also about our present, where we are and where we live here in the United States or in the Northern America, if you want to include Canada and all the Portuguese that live there. And so if you like it, click like and see you in the next episode. Então, até ao próximo episódio.